Hi everybody, Mark Kirby again. Today I want to cover Chapter 19 and the Excel tools that you can use to tackle the things that are covered in Chapter 19. First off, Chapter 19 covers partnerships and how profits are distributed between profits are distributed between partners, or losses are distributed between partners. There are some things we got to be aware of though. First of which, oftentimes in a partnership, one partner will work more than another partner, and as a result, they will allow, each partner will be given a salary or some sort of salary allowance. Remember, in a partnership, the owners or the two partners, they don't actually get a salary. They own the company. They get to split up all of the profits of the company. If you're ever working on a partnership and the partners say, hey, I get X salary, I get $5,000 salary a month and he gets $3,000, it's not an expense to the partnership, okay? They are draws out of the capital account, and each of the partners has their own capital account. So let's talk about some tools here. Let's just cover the basics first. In a partnership, and I've created one here, let's name the partnership, I don't know, Hollywood Movies Inc. It's got to be a partnership, right? Hollywood Movies Distributors. There we go. Name of the partnership. Let's make it bold. Okay. Then we have our input area, and I'm going to kind of highlight my little input area here by putting a border around it and maybe turning each of the respective cells in it my favorite input color, blue. Okay. So the things we need to know. Typically in any kind of a partnership or in any kind of sole proprietorship, the owners have a capital account. And in that capital account, that's the representation of the money that they've invested in the company to run the company. When there's a profit, it increases their capital account. When there's a loss, it decreases their capital account. When they put more money in, it increases their capital account. And when they take money out, it decreases their capital account. Okay, everybody's good with this. Those of you who just took Accounting 151A, this should be, dead bang on for you guys. You should be in good shape. For those of you who took Accounting 1A and have not taken 151A, you might want to go back and review the chapter a little bit more. But we'll cover it in class either way. So the things we need to know. This partnership, Hollywood Movie Distributors, needs to have some sort of net income. It could be a loss, it could be negative, but for right now I made this up. I threw some things on the spreadsheet before we started because you don't want to sit here and watch me type all day long, so saving a little time. All right, so net income for this particular month, and we should have the month up here. September 2014. I hate it when Excel does that. If you put a single quote in front of it, September 2014, you can make it stay in words. Remember, I said you didn't want to watch me type all this stuff. So, net income for the month was $80,000. Type that in there. Beginning capital, we need to have our partners. Our partners are Ricky and Fred, and they have $58,000. Ricky has $58,000 in beginning capital. Fred has $65,000. They're just numbers I made up. Doesn't matter. We'll change them around as we go. A lot of times, partnerships, in the partnership agreement, it'll say we're gonna split our profits 50-50, 60-40. Sometimes it will say in relation to the capital account balances. If it says that, you need to do the math. You know, calculate the two balances, come up with a total capital in the company plus this divided by, and the total would be the base. So Ricky has 47%, Fred has 53%, and you would have a profit ratio of 47-53, if indeed we were basing it on their beginning capital balances. The other thing that a lot of partnerships will do is, the guy doing most of the work will get a bigger salary, and one partner will put in all the work, and one partner will put in all the money. So, the working partner gets a bigger salary. A lot of times the partner who put in all the money gets an interest allowance on their beginning capital balance. So that's just, you take the beginning of the month capital, calculate 10% on it. In this case, I picked 10%. It could be 5%, it could be 20%, it could be who knows what. And they get that much of the profit allocated to them. So remember, the whole key here is we want to allocate the profits of the company, and in this instance it's the $80,000 here. We want to allocate that between the two partners. So what I want to do is you allocate in a certain order. And the way I want to focus on that, well, the order you do it in is you allocate the salaries first. Net income allocations, allocation of salary. And I'm going to put the partners' names up at the top, Ricky and Fred. So Ricky right out of the gate gets $58,000 of the profit. And, oh, I'm doing it wrong, sorry. I haven't put in a provision for salaries, have I? Let's add that in. There you go. So much for setting things up in advance and making it work right. Salary allowances. Remember, I said you don't want to sit and watch me type. Okay, so let's say Ricky gets $4,000 a month and Fred gets $6,000. Okay. Allocation of salary. Ricky gets his $4,000. Let's mark those as input areas. Fred gets his $6,000. Okay. And let's be a little more clear here. Partner, I'm going to center and merge this over the top. The two partners, Ricky and Fred, center, underline. This is their salary allocation. And then let's have a column for income distribution. And all this is a fancy way of saying that's the income allocated so far on this line, or the income allocated on this line, $10,000. And we need a remaining balance of income to distribute. This makes it nice and neat. So my remaining balance is the original 80,000 minus the salaries. So because of the partnership agreement, the partners have agreed to split up the first $10,000 of profits every month, 40 Ricky, 60% Fred. Okay? So we've allocated 10,000 of the 80,000 already. And then we're going to come down and we're going to have a interest allowance. Oops, again, don't want to watch me type. On capital. Now remember, this is the beginning capital amounts. They were 58,000 and 65. Notice that they've agreed in the partnership agreement that they each get to earn 10% on the capital they have invested in the company. So I'm going to write, I'm going to add 58,000, multiply it times the 10% for Ricky, and 65,000 times 10% for Fred. So I've allocated another $12,300 of the total net income. The remaining balance of 70 minus what I just allocated, there's still $57,700 of profit for the month of September 2014 to allocate. Okay, so once I get to that point, I've allocated the salaries, I've allocated the interest on capital, allocate balance. I'm going to allocate the balance of net income, and that's going to get allocated based on the profit-loss split ratio. In this case, it's 50-50. Okay? So it would be plus 57,000 times the allocation ratio plus 57,000 times the allocation ratio. Total allocated, remaining left to allocate, prior balance minus, and what's left to allocate? 0. I'm going to give myself a total income allocation line, and I will total each of these columns, and if I check that, my total allocation is 80,000. 80,000, 80,000, good. Okay, my remaining balance, if I wanted to double check, could be the original 80 minus what's already been allocated, 0. So that's kind of like a double check, everything's good. If I want to go a step further here, I could do something like beginning capital balances. Ricky had 58,000, Fred had 65. Subtotal for their capital accounts. I'm going to underline this though real quick. So Fred would end up with an ending balance of $106,350 in his capital account. Ricky ends up with $96,650. You could have, oh, here's a good idea, I forgot this, less drawing. If they have any drawing, you could fill it in here. We would have to add that to our input area. So for now, let's call them both 0. And once I do that, I don't want to add plus this minus that, plus this minus that. Oops. ending capital balances. And double underline that. No, double underline. Helps if you hit the right one. Double underline, good to go. Good? Okay, so there's a quick and simple calculation or an allocation of profits in a partnership. Let's change it up a little bit. There are some things that I missed that I want to go throw in, like the drawing. We need to add a spot for the drawing account. I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to totally change the format of my input area. As I do things, you always think of a better way to do stuff. Beginning capital, let's put Ricky, Fred, oops, let's line them up side by side. Okay, salary allowance, 4,000, 6,000. I can get rid of this. Profit loss ratio, I'm going to put 50, 50, and I'm going to need a little bit more room, so I'm going to move this over a little bit. Maybe I'm going to move this over. And interest on beginning capital account balances. Okay, let's say, yeah, these are probably going to be the same. You could make them different, but let's just assume they're the same. Okay, I'm going to re-highlight my input area by putting a box back around it. Good to go. Alright, so I've changed my game a little bit. I'm going to take a couple lines out here. There, so it all fits up on the page a little bit better. Here I am using hand gestures to point at what I'm doing, like you guys could see that, ha ha. Line this up. There we go. So if the beginning account balance has changed, and this was 158, and Fred's didn't change, notice it flows all the way through. He still gets his 4,000 allocation of salary. Notice what changes. His interest on his beginning capital went way up, and therefore more of the net income got distributed to Ricky, and in total his income allocation went up. I'm going to hit the undo key real quick. So he got 38,000 of the income before. Now because he has more capital, it goes to 43, and Fred's goes down. See how it goes down from 41 to 36. Okay. What if we change the allocation percentages from 60 to 60-40 from 50-50? So notice all of a sudden we're allocating the balance of net income more to Ricky than Fred. What did I do? Something's going on here. Ah, see what I did? Okay, I changed these from 50-50 to 60-40, and if I go down and look, notice I have a negative. You can't allocate more than 100% of the net income. You can if there's a loss, but in the end, my check digit down here, and I'm going to highlight this in green, this one's got to come out to 0. So if I change this back to 50, and this one back to 50, notice my check digit went to 0. So I've allocated 100% of the $80,000 profit. Here's what just happened. I'm basing Ricky's allocation based on the 50% in column E, and Fred's on the 50% in column E. So if I were to change this to 0.4, it has no impact on my calculation. So if I change this to 0.6, I'm actually allocating 120%, 60 here and 60 here. So I got to fix that. one of the things I can do, that I have to do, is take the remaining balance and multiply it times Fred's percentage, and it'll fix the problem. Okay? Remember when we did data validation? One of the things we could do is kind of a double check, is take Fred's number and make it 1 for 100% minus Ricky's percent, which will give you 40. So if I change this, it automatically changes Ricky's and Fred's. If I change Ricky's, it changes Fred's. Okay? So it's always 100%. That's a good little safety tip. Kind of makes it fun. We've built some double checks and some safeties into our spreadsheet. Let's see, if I change my if I change my interest allocation, I got to check this, because notice my interest allocation is based solely on Fred's, so I'm going to visually drag that over here. So now we've got it cleaned up where they could have different capital or different interest allowance amounts and different profit loss sharing ratios, along with different allocation of salaries. If you had 3 or 4 or 5 partners or more, you'd have a column for each one, and you'd set this up and do the allocations very much like we're doing here. You just have more columns going across the page. Okay? So let's think. Another thing we can do. Let me show you an example. Let's say we only had, I really want to make sure this works. We have $10,000 in salary allocation. Let's say the company only had $5,000 in profit. Watch what happened. Of the $5,000 in profit, we're going to allocate $10,000 to salaries. The remaining balance is -5. Okay? So my net income, it wasn't really a loss, but the remaining balance is now a loss that I have to allocate. Then I still am going to allocate interest allowance. So there's another $11,500. I have -$16,150. I have a loss of $16,000 to allocate to the 2 partners. Right now their percentages are 75-25, and my program, my formulas here, allocate that negative amount to each of the partners, so that in total, Ricky's taking, because he takes 75%, he takes a decrease to his capital account of $213. Fred, in total, is taking an increase of $5,213. And the net income distributed is the whole $5,000. Notice that Fred got more than the net income because of the interest allowance and the salary, and Ricky got allocated way more of the loss as a result, and it overshadowed his positive allocation through salary or interest allowance. Good? Okay. Okay, so more things we could do here. If you wanted to, we could write the journal entries for closing the income summary account to the partner's capital accounts based on this. So let's see, if we had, what would it normally be? It would be a debit to income summary and credits to capital to the capital of the 2 partners. So we could go plus total income allocation plus Fred. Now I'm going to change this back to 80,000 because it looks better for what I'm going to explain to you. So we're debiting income summary, reducing its balance to 0. Ricky had $56,038 allocated to his capital account here. So we credit his capital account. Remember, it's a profit. It increases capital. Here I go using hand gestures again. And we credit Fred's account $23,963. This all works fine as long as all of the amounts are positive and everyone's capital account is increasing. What happens if we have the situation we had a moment ago where we only have a little bit of income and one partner has actually allocated a decreasing capital? You could remember our old friend, the if statement, equals if total income distribution is greater than or equal to 0, just in case it is 0, then plus this number, else blank, and in the next column over you've got to go equals, just in case it is a negative number, if G29 is less than or equal to 0. Jake, what's up? Okay, so the dog tried to chase a raccoon outside the window. But back to where we were. We do a test in this column, in the O column, in case we need a credit because the allocation amount is negative. If G29 is less than or equal to 0, then plus, it would be minus, right? Because it'll be negative, minus G29, else, leave it blank. And by putting two sets of quotes in here next to each other, I'm telling Excel, leave this blank. So notice right now it's a positive number, G29 is positive, and it left that blank. Okay? And I would need the same formula here, 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 and here to cover positives and negatives in the income allocation in E and F29. So equals if E29 is less than or equal to 0, then minus, because we want it to appear as a positive number, E29 else blank. I'm going to need to format that. Notice there's some rounding going on. That's all right. Equals if E29 is greater than or equal to 0, then, in this case it's plus, because it would be positive, E29 else blank, and bang, it works. And I'm going to just copy this one down, hit F2 to visually edit, and drag the cell references up over here. So it tests F29. I'm going to copy this cell also and visually move it. So I'm visually editing. Did it real quick. Bang. There you go. So here we go. 80,000 in net income. Watch what happens over here in our journal entry. The amounts change and they end up in the correct column, debit or credit. If my profits go down to only $5,000, it moves my debits and credits around. And what if we have a loss of $20,000? Watch this. Bang. I would have to credit income summary and debit to reduce both of their capital accounts, because notice they're both getting allocated a reduction in their capital accounts. So you can automate the journal entry part of this as well. And Excel will do that for you. Very, very powerful that way. That's really all there is to allocation of partnership capital, and really all you need to do with Excel to get it to work. I'm sorry there's no new functions to show you here. I don't know. Hey, how about we do something new then? How about I show you something pretty cool? Okay? No, let's just call this one really cool. Has anyone ever done spinners or sliders before? Now, here I am asking questions. You're not even here. Okay, we're going to do spinners and sliders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an input tool here. Notice how we've already had the little safety tool in here where we put a formula in. So when we change Ricky's profit and loss allocation, it automatically forces Fred's to be 100%, the combination of the two to be 100%. A lot like data validation, what if I force the user to a certain type of input? Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the interest rate down here as well. Okay, how do we do that? Take a moment and think developer. Make sure you have the developer tab turned on, but we can come to the developer tab and we can insert form controls. This is an advanced level Excel tool. It helps you really automate data input for your users, makes it much easier for you to hand something off to a lower level individual, prevents people from entering wrong data or messing up your formulas or overriding things. This is a great tool. So what I want to do is I'm going to put in a spinner. See this one right here that with the up and down arrow? If I point at it, it says spin button, form control. So I'm going to take that, click it, and come down here, and I'm going to, right next to the interest rate, plug in, and as big an area as you drag, is what it's going to show you. So here I've got this little cool set of double arrows, up and down. Right now they do absolutely nothing, but we're going to fix that. I'm going to come over here and pick a cell at random, and I'm going to type in spin control. I'm going to give it a header so I know what I'm doing. Okay, and then I'm going to put a great big box around this cell. And then I'm going to tie this spin control to a number that's in that box. And there's a reason why. So I'm going to come over here and click away from the spinner, and then I'm going to right click on the spinner and come down to format control. All right, and hit escape, do it again. Notice the dots around the spinner. If I try and right click, oh, it works. It doesn't work with the slider. Go to format control. Here's the box that pops up. There's all kinds of things you can do at the top. Size, you can protect it, you can lock it, you can change it to move in size with cells, you can do things on the web. You really aren't going to have to worry about any of these things unless you're playing with protection. Forget how that just sounded. If you're protecting your cells, it'll cause a problem with your spinners and sliders. What you're really going to focus on is control. So I'm going to leave the current value at 0. I'm going to leave the minimum value at 0, and I'm going to move the maximum value to 100. Okay. Increment range. Let's make it simple. 10. Well, how much interest are these guys going to allow each other? 10% a month is huge. So let's make it 1 to 10, just for now. So 0 to 10, increments every 1. Just remember this for a second. I'll show you what it's going to do. Cell link. Here's where I want to come over and point it at the cell that we've already set up, R15. And I'm going to click OK. Click off of it. Watch what happens. I click the up button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Won't go any higher. It'll go up and down between 0 and 10. Okay? Now I can take, because this, I'm going to take the interest allowance for Ricky and Fred, and I'm going to refer to the spin control box R15. This is a whole number over here in R15 though, and I'm dealing with 0.05, 5%. So I have to point at R15 and divide by 100 to get it to work. And then Fred's, I'm just going to have it mirror E17 or mirror Ricky's. So watch what happens now. Increase. Okay. I put this over here because we can push it off the page this way and make it disappear so that the user doesn't see it. Or we can put it in a hidden column. We can take something and we can hide the columns. Notice I highlight the top of the columns, right click, hide them, boom, they're gone. The giveaway though is, look, M-N-O-T, where's P-Q-R-S, right? So if I highlight those again and right click, I can unhide them. So it's always safest to make your spin control disappear so people don't monkey with it. Watch down below, here I am using my finger, watch what happens to our interest allowance as I cycle through the spinner. It goes from 0, 1%, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it changes the allocation at every step of the way. This is pretty cool. Okay? Now if I go in and I protect these cells, no one can enter any information in them. Like right now I could go in and type in here and mess everything up. Edit, undo. I don't know if I've covered protecting cells yet or not, but let's do that. I'm going to highlight these two cells, right click, I'm going to go to Format, and in my Format dialog box I want to go to Protection. Notice the cells are marked as locked currently. If I turn this off, then they're not locked. So I lock them, okay, which is what I want. Excel works backwards. Basically what I have to do is these cells, when I turn this on, will all the cells on the spreadsheet are going to be locked unless I go in and tell it to unlock them. So if I want all of these to be locked and I want these to be locked, let's take the color off because those are no longer an input area, right? Okay. So what if I want to only allow input here, 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 and here? We're going to change these in a minute. Right click, Format Cells, Lock. Okay. Turn the lock off. Go to OK. Right now it's still fair game. I can change these to anything I want. I can change these if I want and blow everything up. The power of this comes when I go to Review, Protect Sheet. Here's the fun stuff. I right here can turn on and off what I want to allow people to be able to do. So right now if it's checked, I'm allowing people to select the lock cell, select unlock cells. They cannot format, they cannot insert rows, they cannot insert columns, they can't delete, they can't sort, they can't do anything. And you could put a password in here so that no one can turn this off but you. I will tell you this, if you do put a password in here and you forget what it is, you're stuck. There's no way to get your information back. There's no way to unlock it. So use it with extreme caution and be very careful. Don't tell others your password, but don't forget it. Okay? I'm going to leave it with no password right now. For this class, when you demonstrate your homework, I want you to leave it with no password. Show me that you know to lock and protect your worksheets, but don't put a password in there, because if you do, I can't go in and unlock it and check your homework and see how you did. So right now, I'm not going to put a password in. I'm going to hit OK. Now watch what happens. I can still scroll around anywhere I want, but all these cells are locked, right? The only ones that are unlocked are the blue ones up here. What if I want to type something in here? Excel stops me and says, hey, the cell you're changing is protected, read only. You can't do this. You must unprotect the sheet first. Okay? To unprotect it, notice on the Review tab, instead of saying Lock Worksheet, it changed to Unprotect. We could click that and keep going. And I'm going to do that right now. But that's how you lock a spreadsheet, okay? It's a beautiful thing because it protects all of your formulas. Nobody can come in and grab this and drag it around and move it. They can't go in and type something in and blow up your formulas. You really have taken your spreadsheet to a new level because you've given it to a low-level employee, and now they can't break it. Prior to this, you give somebody a great tool that you built. Hey, it's your job now, go allocate partners' capital every month. Here's a tool to do it. And they come down the hall and they go, it doesn't work anymore. And you've got to go figure out why and fix it. You just saved yourself hours of heartache by locking the cells and protecting your sheet. Okay? Notice the trick here is it also locks the spinner that we set up. I'm going to unprotect the sheet. I'm going to right-click the spinner. I'm going to go to Format Control, and I'm going to unlock it. Okay? I believe you also have to unlock this cell, the link cell. So I'm going to unlock that as well. Then I'm going to protect the sheet. Remember, no password. Bang, off we go. Now I should be able to go change this. So now my user, they can't come over here and type something in. They can't type in a percentage for Fred or for Ricky, but they can come over and change the percentage with the spinner, but they can only do it with the spinner. Good? Very powerful, very fun. Once you start incorporating spinners and sliders into your spreadsheets, you really look like you know something. Speaking of sliders, we haven't done one yet. A spinner is good for, just a small number of clicks through. 10 is kind of a lot, really. Slider is a little bit more versatile because you can cover greater distances with it. I'm going to go back to the Developer tab. I'm going to click up here somewhere. Oh, I have to go unlock my spreadsheet. Unprotect the spreadsheet. Go to the Developer tab. Insert. And now I want to pick a scroll bar. No. Yeah, we can pick a scroll bar right here. Slider. This is it. Click that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it horizontally and let it go. And look at what that looks like. It's got the arrows at the end and it's got this bar in the middle that slides across. So this is a spinner. This is a slider. If you want to move it one click at a time like the spinner, you can come over and go click, 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 click. If you want to move it fast, you can grab this and slide it all the way across. Now again, we're going to need a slider control to go with it. So I'm going to come over here and put in slider control because I'm going to need a link box. And I'm going to put a big black square around it. And then I'm going to come right click on my slider, format control. Right away we know we're going to lock our spreadsheet. I'm going to turn the lock off. Okay. Go to the control. Current value is 100. Okay, that's fine. Don't care. Minimum value is 0 to 100. Oh, 0. Maximum value is 100. Increment is 1. Page change is 10. And that's the amount that it jumps if you click partway down the slider. Okay? I'll show you that in a second. Cell link. I'm going to link it to cell R16 and I'm going to click OK. Click away from it. Look at R16 already turned to 100. Now watch what happens. I'm going to come over and click here. It goes 1, down 1, down 1, down 1, down 1, down, 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 down. Okay? Take me all day to get through 100 of these things. But if I slide just inside of the arrow, I now jump by tens. I'm paging. Okay? Or I can grab the thing right in the middle and drag it to where I want. Okay? Now here's the power of this. I'm going to tie Ricky's. Spinners and sliders only work in whole numbers. They don't work in decimals. My ratio of profit and loss split is 75-25. It's a number between 0 and 1. So I'm going to have to tie Ricky's to the slider control, divide by 100 to get a percentage. Okay? And these are no longer going to be input fields. I'm going to turn the color back to clear. Right? Remember, blue is reserved for our input field, at least for me. I'm still leaving this tool here where Fred's number is 1 minus Ricky's number. So we always get 100% between the two. Now watch what happens. I'm going to page down and change Ricky's number down. Fred's goes up. Down, 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 down. Watch the allocation go on down here. Up, 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 up. Notice, and it changes all the way through your journal entry to close out income summary. So you've got spinners and sliders all working at the same time. Combine that with the new tool, hopefully I've taught you this before, of protecting your sheet, and you're off and running. Oh, I just had a problem pop up. Unprotect. I thought I turned the format control off. I did. I didn't lock this. Oh, I didn't unlock this one. I've got to unlock my reference cell, my slider control. Now when I protect the sheet, no password, I can come in here and change this. And it changes these. These are locked. No one can type in there. But I can use the slider and the spinner to affect my allocations and drive my journal entry. Let's make it a positive number just so it looks right. And we can scroll through and see what the effect is. Okay, if I want 75, I can go to 80 and work my way back one at a time. I'm sure somebody will have questions about this in class, but that's how spinners and sliders work. They're pretty cool. One of my favorite things, and in the real world, looking like you know what you're doing goes a long way, and these really help you in that regard. Really makes you look like you know something about Excel. Okay? Okay, before I get carried away, and I want to show you one more thing. Through the magic of editing, I've thrown in a quick owner's capital little area down here. I've kind of filled in some goodies. We can go up to, and I threw dates in here, I kind of borrowed this from somewhere else actually, but we can go up to the capital balances and plug in the beginning capital balances from right up here in our input area. So I go plus, come up to beginning capital, plug that in, make my columns the right width. You can go plug in investments during the year if they dropped in more capital during the year. In this case they didn't, so I'm going to leave it blank. If you do something like this though, you would definitely want to have an input area for capital additions. Net income loss for the year, we can just come over and tie into total income allocation for each of our two partners. Here and here. Again, fix my column width. And you can even tie your draws to the drawing amounts over here. And again, if you do a draw, you're going to want to have something in your input area for the draw accounts, for the amount of draw during the year. And that should give you an ending capital balance, total capital. Look, the balances match, they should. But you then have an almost formal report here. This could actually be your statement of owner's equity, and we could put a header above this, the who, what, and when header above this, and you'd have your statement of owner's equity and you would be good to go. So just a little extension of where you could possibly take this to. If you have questions, bring them to class. I think you'll have a lot of fun with this. I know I do. I know my other classes in the past have had a lot of fun with them. Remember to protect your worksheets. Remember not to use a password, because if you do, I can't check your work. Again, get your name on the spreadsheet, name your tab, and name your file with your name in it and the chapter number. Okay? I really hope you're enjoying this. I hope you like my videos. Again, positive feedback on them is great. And you know, if you're watching it on YouTube, give me a thumbs up on them. Okay? I'm looking for some positive feedback. Hope you're having a good time with this, and I'll see you in class.